Hi, fifth graders. It's Miss Ferguson here, and we are working on week of 525, day 5 for NF.4. So we're working with fractions right now. Number 1 says find the product by modeling or drawing a model. You can draw a model if that's what helps you, but I'm going to start off by drawing this into making my whole number into a fraction, and I hope that you remember how we make a whole number into a fraction. We can put 1 under any whole number. That's a fraction. I'm going to write it so it's a little bit easier to read. And then with multiplication, we just multiply straight across. So 3 times 1 equals 3. 1 times 4 equals 4. So 1/4 of 3 is 3/4. I can model this, guys, because if I had my tape diagram here and the whole thing was 3, and I put those into equal parts for the 4, and I was looking for just 1/4 of those, well, I know that 4 parts is bigger than 3 altogether, so it's going to be less than 1. So it would be 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, and 3/4. I can check my work by adding that up, which would equal 3, 6, 9, 12 fourths. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So that's my model there, and you can see that the answer is 3/4. Number 2, Mackenzie is baking 3 batches of sugar cookies. Each batch calls for 3/4 cups of sugar. How many cups of sugar does she need? Show your work below. So I know she's making 3 batches, and each one calls for 3/4. So I'm taking 3 times 3/4. So I have my whole number of 3, and I'm multiplying it by 3/4. So I already modeled over there what 3 looks like when it's divided up into 4 parts. Each one is 3/4, right? And I know this time I'm looking at 3 of those 3/4. So I really have 9/4 here, which is the same as 1 and 1/4. Let's check it with our multiplication here. 3 times 3 equals 9. 1 times 4 equals 4. Because remember, we go straight across when we're multiplying fractions. We know that in 5th grade, the standard says we do not have to reduce it. So if you wrote 9/4 as your answer, you're doing a great job. If you want to move on past that, then like I said, 4 goes into 9 2 times with, oh, and I wrote it wrong over here. 2 times 2 and 1/4, and with 1/4 left over. Okay. Number 3. Several expressions are shown. Decide if the value of the expression is less than, equal to, or greater than 10. Rewrite each expression in its correct category in the chart. So in order to get 2 points for this, you had students place all the expressions in the correct category. To get 1 point, at least 4 of these are in the correct category, and anything less than 4 would be a 0. So let's get started. 2 times 1/2 times 3 plus 2. So in order to do this one, I'm going to reduce down my parentheses and things like that. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. So then I have 2 times 1/2 times 5. I know then I go in order. 2 times 1/2, well, I go like that. So that would be 2 over 2, which equals 1 times 5 equals 5. So that one is going to go straight over to that. So I would write equal to 5, 2x, or 2 times 1/2 times 3 plus 2 goes in this category. I am going to go ahead and erase this, guys, just to make it easier, but I'm just going to put a check mark over it to know that we have, in fact, done this one. 7 times 3/4, our next one. So I'm going to put my 1 underneath there because I know I multiply straight across. 7 times 3 equals 21. 1 times 4 equals 4. Well, I don't know if that's greater than or less than 5. So how many times does 4 go into 21? Goes in there 5 times with 1/4 left over. So because it's because it has that 1/4, it is greater than 5. So we're going to write 7 times 3/4 4ths over here. Once again, I'm going to erase it just to make it easier on myself. Okay, 1/4 times 24 minus 12. Okay, 24 minus 12 is 12, and I'm going to multiply that times 1/4. I'm going to create that 12 into a 1, or into a fraction. 1 times 12 equals 12. 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So my final answer on that one would be 3, so that's less than 5. Sorry, you probably hear my dog drinking some water in the background. Okay. So we're done with those 3. So we'll move on to some more. 2 times 3 halves times 3 times 1. Parentheses first for my order of operations. 3 times 1 equals 3. Okay, so I'm going to start in order. Now that we have just multiplication, we know we go from left to right. 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 times 1 equals 2. And so then I'm going to multiply 6 halves times 3. Once again, I'll just add my fraction underneath that. 6 times 3 is 18. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 goes into 18 9 times, so that one would be greater than 5. Notice, I'm not guessing on any of these. I'm doing the work on every single one of these, so I really think it's important that we're actually doing the work, just like I would say in class. Oops, what did I just do here? Okay, 2 times 3 halves times 3 times 1. Okay, so once again, always showing my work for everything. There's no guessing in math. Okay, next I have 3 times 1/2 times 2 times 2. Order of operations always comes into play here. 2 times 2 equals 4. I'm going to rewrite that equation with my found information. And remember, it's only multiplication now, so now I get to just go in order from left to right. 3 times 1 equals 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 3/4 times 4, I'm going to put that over 1 to make it into a fraction. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So that one would be less than 5. So I have 3 times 1/2 times 2 times 2. Okay. If I'm going too fast for you, you know, you can always pause to catch up. Get on office hours if you're needing some extra help with this, or ask your teacher. So finally I have 1/2 times 1/8. 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 times 8 equals 16. Can't reduce that any further. 1/16 is less than 5. So I have 1/2 times 1/8 over there. So I got that one done. And then 5 halves times 4 halves. 5 times 4, because I go straight across, is 20. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 goes into 20 5 times, so it's equal to 5. 5 halves times 4 halves. All right, and we are done, guys. That's all I have for you today. If you have questions, as always, ask your teacher for some help. Get on those office hours. We love seeing your faces. And let us know if you need anything else. Miss you. Bye.